Welcome back to Freedom Frontier, Alaska. We only have a few days remaining before we hit the road. It's getting pretty hectic around here. But before we leave, let's go over the big plans we have for our property in Alaska. After we officially made the decision to move to Alaska, searching for some property was the next thing to do. Alaska has a public MLS website, alaskarealestate.com. You can search for available properties without the need for a real estate agent. The tool is very easy to use and allows you to filter for exactly what you're looking for. We were looking for a property that wasn't in a boggy or swampy wetland, because water is the enemy. We observed other YouTube channels struggle to build on their properties that were located in wetlands. This left us with the only option being a hilly lot. Hills reduce the overall usable space, so we wanted a good-sized lot to account for this so we wouldn't feel space constrained. Additionally, the plan from the start was for this property to be fully off the power grid and instead be solar powered with a generator backup. Because of this, we knew we needed a large, south-facing slope for a solar panel array. So every day I searched the Alaska MLS website and eventually found the perfect hilly 5-acre property in the small resort town of Big Lake. The property is completely undeveloped, not even a driveway. We closely inspected the topology maps to make sure the property would work for us, and I purchased the property sight unseen in November of 2023 for only $25,000. I took a trip exactly 1 year ago with my brother and sister to check out the property in person and explore the area around Big Lake, including the two neighboring towns, Houston and Wasilla. We went to some restaurants and visited a few of the lakes in the area. We also really enjoyed the yurt where we slept at night. It was incredibly cozy and the beds were so comfy. But the main objective was to check out the property, inspect the ground composition, and perform a full walk through the property so we knew what we were working with. The south-facing slope was exactly what I was hoping for. The property has a low to medium density of trees, but lots of shrubbery and vegetation along the ground. For the first week after we arrive, most of the time will be spent handling our personal affairs, getting an Alaska ID, titling and registering our vehicles, checking in at the RV park, which we'll be staying at for the first month, and picking up any mail that has arrived at our P.O. box. After that, the real fun begins: property excavation. The USGS National Map is a great tool for accessing high-resolution topological data and parcel boundaries. The topological data showed that there was a ridge that cuts from the road access down through the middle of the property. We used this topo map as a starting point for our layout design. The plan is to first perform a rough survey to mark and then cut in a driveway along that ridge, with a turnaround loop at the end. The ground under this loop is currently about 10 to 15 feet higher than we need it to be, so we'll have to excavate and grade this down before we can complete the driveway. With the ridge leveled, we can start marking out future building locations. Our primary goal is to build shelter so that we can survive our first Alaskan winter. We'll only have about 6 months before the cold season. If we don't make that time frame, we'll likely have to abandon the property and wait until spring in 2026. We don't have any hope of building an entire house within this time frame, so instead we're going to build a small dry cabin, only 20 feet by 14 feet. 2 bedrooms, a loft, and a main front room. We're also going to want a couple 20-foot shipping containers for storage space. And of course, we'll need an outhouse. A water well can be drilled and an electric water pump installed. For the time being, the pump will need to be powered with one of our generators. Over the top of the well, we'll be constructing what we're calling a utility shed, essentially an outbuilding that will mimic normal utility services like you'd receive in the city. The water from the well will be stored in a pressure tank inside the shed. A solar battery system will provide electrical power with support for generator backup. Both the well and the batteries must be kept above freezing, so the walls of the shed will need to be extra thick and heavily insulated. We'll likely need to install a small heat pump to keep the space fully climate controlled. If we can accomplish all of these goals, we should be able to safely and comfortably survive our first Alaskan winter. It's not going to be easy though. After our first winter, we'll be better equipped to focus on future ideas, such as a chicken coop or a garden. We could have paths and trails throughout the property, even a private shooting range. There's enough space for that. The end goal is, of course, building an entire house with water and electricity from the utility shed and a proper septic system.